You asked, and we listened. Dana from California writes, first off, great job on Flight Fix. I love all that you do, and every lesson is well thought out, and I learn something new with every video. Aww. I would like to see the startup sequence of the SR-20, SR-22, and instrument scan before takeoff, similar to what was shown with the Vision Jet. Well, Dana, you're too kind. Thanks for the email and for being a fan, and here's an episode made just for you, and hopefully a bunch of other people too. It's Fix Mail. That's right, it's the first installment of Fix Mail, the bite-sized version of the Bite-Sized Flight Training Show dedicated to those pilots who never stop emailing us. You know, Dana, flyer from California, for as relatively simple as the start procedure is in the Vision Jet, it's just as easy, if not even a little bit easier, with the SR. With throttle and mixture forward, you simply prime for a few seconds, then bring that pump back to boost, bring the throttle back to a 1/4 inch position, then turn the key to crank the starter, just like this. Okay, so now that we're out in the cockpit, let me show you how this is done. It's about this simple. First off, the prop is clear. Clear prop! Close the door. And with my handy checklist, here's how this works. Okay, so with the mixture rich, I'm gonna bring the throttle full forward, and because the oil temperature is just a little bit warm, I'm gonna prime just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna go to high boost prime, and then to boost, bring the throttle back to a 1/4, and there we go. Brakes are held, and I will crank the engine. And there you go. It pretty much fires right up. I can run the throttle back to about 1,000 RPM, go through the rest of the after start checklist, and we are ready to go. So there you go. Simple enough. Now, when it comes to an all-important instrument cockpit check, whether you're VFR, IFR, doesn't matter, before you depart, I think we can all agree that it's a good idea to give your instruments a quick once-over. Not only is it actually on that taxi checklist, but a thorough instrument check really is one of those things that, when it's done properly, can make a huge difference in your flight by just getting you set up before you go, helping you pre-visualize that departure sequence. Now, before we look at the check, if you haven't checked out the Cirrus Approach Instrument Procedures course, well, I think it's time to roll that shameless plug. This episode of the Cirrus Approach Flight Fix is brought to you by the Cirrus Approach Instrument Procedures course, because when the ceilings and visibility drop, an instrument pilot must be prepared to fly safely and confidently from IFR takeoff to touchdown. With over 2 hours of instrument video training goodness, the course will teach you all about IFR departure, en route, arrival, and approach procedures at your pace from the warm, colorful glow of your favorite screen. So before the fog rolls in, visit cirrusapproach.com to start learning instrument flying right now. Okay, Dana, so for the instrument cockpit check, now first off, VFR, IFR, I think an instrument cockpit check is always a great idea. Verify those primary flight instruments during taxi, before takeoff, so you know that you're good to go. So I like to wait until I'm out on a major taxiway, away from ramp space, away from other aircraft. And what I like to do is just a quick crosshair pattern. So starting with the airspeed indicator, should be 0 or pretty close to 0. Straight across to my altimeter, showing field elevation with the altimeter setting in there, 3000. Then we move up to the attitude indicator, should be showing pretty close to 0 on pitch and roll. And also, check it out, the slip and skid indicator, if I do some just gentle S-turns on the center line, the trapezoid should be going to the outside of the turn with the centrifugal force. That looks really good. And then straight down to the HSI, kind of similar thing with some gentle S-turns, should be showing turns to known headings, and my turn rate indicator should be, the little magenta line, my turn rate indicator should be pointing in the direction of turns. And that is a great instrument cockpit check that is complete. Now, with the instrument cockpit check complete, there's one more thing that I want to add on to it, and it's just sort of a final data check just before takeoff. I kind of rope it into my final check. And what that is just a quick sweep of the data across your PFD and MFD. So check this out. What I like to do is start bottom left of the PFD to the inset view, confirm that it's on the mode that you want. So I really like traffic mode there. So traffic is set. You sweep straight up to the top. Again, checking data. So I'm going to look at my navigation status box. It's showing my GPS course in there to Asheville, 74.2 miles, looking good. Now we're blank. We're blank below that in my AFCS status box. That should be an indicator that I want to fill that with something. And what I like to do is the good old takeoff go around on the bottom of the throttle. If I press that, what's going to happen? Well, first, the command bars are going to pop up, so I get the pink command bars followed by a TOTO in that AFCS status box. That gives me the warm and fuzzies. That's letting me know that I'm going to have great pitch and roll, at least initial pitch and roll guidance, because whether you're VFR or IFR, it's a great idea to have that initial pitch and roll reference in what can honestly be a pretty busy departure phase many times. So that looks good. Now again, checking data straight across my frequencies. I got a 121.2 for tower, 123.9 for departure, coming straight down, verified that my altitude is properly bugged on my east departure to Asheville, 5,500 feet. Drop straight down. One of the last pieces of data, transponder, 0351 is set in. And then let's finish up our data check by confirming that we actually know where we're going. So that is our HSI showing a heading bug that is to the initial heading, which in this case we're VFR, so let's bug runway heading. That feels good to me. If you were IFR, you'd be waiting for a tower assigned heading. And then my CDI, are we in the correct CDI mode? So in this case, pink needles so that we know that we're tracking our GPS course out to Asheville, North Carolina today. And then don't finish there. Sweep across to the MFD to just verify that we're full screen, moving map page, and I like to get my range. I'm usually a 5 miles kind of guy, so 5 miles kind of gives me this nice viewport where I'm not too far that I'm kind of losing a bunch of detail around the airport, but I'm not so close that I don't see what's coming. And here's a really great bonus. I can go to map options, and if I'm in kind of mountainous terrain, which we are here in eastern Tennessee, I can go to my inset, set my inset to VSD, vertical situation display, and boom, now we couple that moving map with the vertical situation display. That's a great way to kind of know what you're dealing with as you get ready for departure. And to finish this final check off, I know it seems long, but it goes really fast when you get used to it. To finish this final check off, I like to just come down here and confirm that my standby instruments look good to go and that my altimeter, that the altimeter setting has automatically synced to my primary altimeter setting on the PFD. And there you go. That is the instrument cockpit check followed by that final sort of just before takeoff data check. Now, for the purposes of this video and the demonstration, that all seemed to take a while, but I promise you if you get into the habit of it, it actually goes very, very quickly, and it warms up your brain to allow you to better predict what that takeoff flow is going to be like once you're off the ground and you're going, so that you don't get up there and realize, oh, I didn't set a frequency or I didn't set a heading or something like that, because I've been there. So challenge yourself to get into the habit of this instrument cockpit check every time, and the final check, you're going to feel so much better on the very next takeoff that you do. There you go.
So Dana, what did you think? Did our first Fix Mail episode do what it was supposed to? Well, remember, it's always easier to flush out little problems and errors while you're still safely on the ground, especially if you're going to be departing into night VMC or any IMC conditions. So challenge yourself to slow down a little bit and give your instruments that diligent check, that final once over. And for the rest of you flight fixers out there who have stuck around with us, well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. But now, do your due diligence and do what Dana did. Hit us up. Send questions, comments, biting critiques, or loving praise to learning@cirrusaircraft.com. And remember that learning is a lifestyle. And we'll see you at the next fix.